Apologies to Ken and his newly dropped trust from B to C. Rightly irritated to be excluded from the March event, I will seek to make good with Ken by putting him right back in the main event. And against who? Black Dragon God. Which might be a bit awkward because they are both Japanese and should probably join forces to challenge for the tag team gold. But look at it this way. Both had dramatic victories over the $50,000 man. So the question should be, well, which of these two dudes is better? And it should make for a close, fascinating match, really, since they both fight in that MMA, UFC type style. And to do all that we can to make Ken happy, we'll have these two fighting in the Stoic style. On the left there, match 3, Stoic style, which is Ken's style, and is actually both their styles. So both those guys doing what they do under the conditions that they like. So hopefully we'll get a good match evaluation. Next. Yeah, this is a little bit uncomfortable, but notice here, Big Titan. Notice on the right of his profile, condition poor. So I regret to inform you that the newly minted Canada Heavyweight Champion, Big Titan, will need one event off for health reasons, and so he'll not be included in April. So apparently, winning the title took a lot out of him, and the cost is he'll have to rest up for next time. So the middle match, since we have our main event. All right. He's not just wearing red, but seeing red too. The super pissed Big Mike, not only having lost that title, been the man to lose the title to Big Titan, but he must now play the waiting game to get his rematch for the title. And what better outlet for his anger than to get that frustration out? What better way than by beating up a rich guy? So we'll make that the middle match. Still mindful of Ted Axel's B trust. Don't want him to feel relegated to opening match status in case that makes him unhappy, which I don't want. And besides, the tag teamers are accustomed to opening the show anyway. At the top. So, why tamper with a winning formula? Those four have had exciting matches that get the crowd on their feet and buzzing, so I think we're pretty happy. Just before we confirm, you'll notice that top right there, the audience forecast continues to climb. We're over 1,400 now. Still at the $40 ticket price, so again, we'll set a new record, I guess. It's going to be our highest revenue to date. Still at the gym, but why not? Why not have these fun, small venue days while we still can and rock the place? All right, so we're good. View title belts, eh? As we'll see, we have second champions now. So as I mentioned earlier, if you select it, you'll see on the right there, you have the history. So Big Titan was only the second champion. Michael Elgin, Big Mike, won the title, had one win, as it says in the very top right there. To indicate that's how many title defenses, basically what that means, because of course he won the title initially and then he defended it once, so one win means how many title defenses. Can Big Titan better that, equal or better it? Well, we won't find out yet, but something to look forward to. Look at the cool belt. The Canada Heavyweight Singles Champion. The Canada Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. The other belt was silver, this one's gold. And the Terrible Team, same situation, was the original champion. They have a title defense. And Wolf is now the team to beat, as they say. And I guess let's find out now if they will be beat. Proceed, please. Boom. April. Welcome to April. For your Canadian Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. Featuring the recently crowned new Tag Team Champions, Team Blue. And did I, in fact, call it? Unless I missed my guess, Wolf had not landed his high kick previously. And I said, maybe if he lands it, finally, that might lead to title gold. And as the French say, voila, new champs. And yes, I know I mispronounced voila. I kid my French-Canadian fellows. Shout out. Ah, okay, so I did lock this in. So, you might notice that Jason the Terrible's now wearing red. So, he got into one of his alternate uniform colors. So it's not just Big Mike who's upset over having a title loss. I'm sure Jason is not happy. He's probably not a happy person to begin with, but so he's wearing red to show how flaming pissed he is. But will anger be enough? For they face the champs newly crowned. Okay, a note on Kenny Omega's mystery move, which these guys won the titles with in the previous month. That move, that shoulder slam thing that I don't know the name of. If you know the name and you haven't already, write it in the comments. For now, I'm going to call it the shoulder mount pound. It's a working name. You mounts them on his shoulders and pound into the mat. Shoulder mount pound. Which, if you notice the spelling, you have the OU sound in all three. Subject to change, but we'll see.
Fight.
There's that high kick that I mentioned. I probably should move myself out of the way. Swinging neck breaker. Just eyeballing my picture in the right. How much am I interfering with the visual? I'm just barely below Kenny's feet. I'm a little large, am I not?
Whoa, whoa.
All right. Meanwhile, there's a match going on. How about there? Terrible Ted, by the way, whom we haven't mentioned, secures the trip takedown. Wolf tags in Kenny Omega. And they'll work together briefly.
Whoa, whoa.
Ooh. Looks like some sort of arm trap choke applied by Terrible Ted. Trip takedown again. So when Kenny got the 3 count for Team Blue, it was actually against Jason the Terrible, not against Terrible Ted. Ted with the tackle attempt. Snapmare. So we'll get our first look in this match at Jason the Terrible. And we'll see some tag team action.
Golden Trigger!
The big double knee to the armored face. Elbow smash to that same mask. So, here's another excuse to write in the comments. Do you like Jason the Terrible in the red? Normally he's mostly white with the black highlights. Now we're mostly red with black and white highlights. Half crab, meanwhile, applied by Wolf Hockfield. Misses with that high kick. Is that a bad sign? Are they going to lose the match because he can't land a high kick? Vertical suplex. Another elbow to the face. Will this vertical well, the vertical suplex is going to be reversed, otherwise we might have had out of the ring. Jason the Terrible gets that done, and he tags out. He's not going to press his luck. Clotheslines Wolf down. Kenny goes for a vertical suplex, only to be speared out of it by Terrible Ted.
Whoa, whoa.
Another trip
5
takedown.
minutes gone.
Whoa, whoa.
More of that roll over mat strategy by Terrible Ted, which seems to frequently fail. He seems to get countered pretty frequently. Well, there's that guillotine choke.
Give up?
Won Team Terrible the titles initially.
Whoa, whoa.
Well, Ted is content to keep going back to that. He's determined that he should be able to outground a mere human, but not so far. I mean, he's great at getting these takedowns. It just doesn't seem to result in much. Now we got both members of Team Blue in there. Team Blue Canada, you're Canada heavyweight tag team champions. Surprise roll-up. It's under 7 minutes, so no surprise. Kick out. That's interesting. Like some sort of bend over elbow to the sternum area. So, the Wolf Irish whips the Bear into the ropes. The Bear is not impressed. Holds on to the ropes. He's still relatively early. I'm sure he can take a lot more punishment. He's not easily set up for much. Another missed high kick, but lands probably a forearm into the ropes, although we're deep in terrible country. And Wolf wisely says, that's a bad idea. I'll go back to blue country. Get my fresh man in. Kenny Omega lands the elbow to the back of the head. Now he's grinding with that elbow.
Give up?
Looks like Jason might be partially protected by the helmet, but probably wasn't fun. Big double clothesline. Terrible tag clothesline. Yeah, how about that, Brittany? Kenny says, I don't need any more terrible things to happen to me, at least not right now. In comes big Wolf Hockfield. Irish whip works better there because it's into the turnbuckle. And we will get dragged out from the turnbuckle area. Big Titan lands a sharp elbow to the face.
Whoa, whoa.
Just flailing around with that high kick. It's a frequently missed move. So, more lack of mat success by
10 minutes gone.
Terrible Ted. He seems like he's more out to prove a point than anything. And I think we saw a bear hug there briefly. Big, terrible hug. So hooks him into a pin position, but it's still only 10.5 minutes. The previous match, I seem to recall, went something like 22. So this match could be a long way from over. I think if last match was any indication between these teams that they've rounded into more of an even sort of level. If you recall the first match, I think went reasonably toward a terrible team, and then second match looked more promising for Team Blue, only to have them come up short. But they look good, and then they finally got it done. Match 3. So will we see a pretty even struggle here in the 4th installment of this Tag Team Championship Rivalry Series? And it won't necessarily be this matchup forever, in case you're wondering. I mean, like I said, there's other tag team possibilities out there.
Golden Trigger!
But this is the standard match for the Canadian tag team titles. We'll see if someone else gets a chance in the near future and if they can capitalize. Remember, this is the Canada promotion, so we will tend to favor Canadian wrestlers. Elbow to the spine. That was an interesting way to disrupt that by Terrible Ted. Just roll the guy into a pin combination. Spears him down.
Whoa, whoa.
And the guillotine choke applied under the ropes there. We can't see it too well. Jason's kind of blocking it. Just a straight up slap to the head. Why not?
Whoa,
So we're into this guillotine choke again. Oh! Okay. We've seen this before,
whoa, 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 whoa.
and we've come back around to it. That was the original finish between these two teams. Terrible Ted pinned Wolf down with that guillotine choke, that forearm across the throat, and good enough. 13 proved unlucky for Team Blue. Whatever, a little over 13.5 minutes. Guillotine choke. They're back on top. Team Terrible. Once again, your Canada Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And new over 80% match evaluation, so I'll take it. So the Team Blues era was brief. They'll have to be back to the drawing board. It must be a chilling reminder of earlier disappointments. And we'll see what comes of that, if anything. Okay. So we're used to this being for the title. Michael Elgin fighting for the heavyweight title, but again, Big Titan is sitting out for health reasons. And we have a new opponent for Michael Elgin. Ted Axel, who has suffered his share of criticism And there's some doubt as to his legitimacy. Although he did lose in controversial fashion previous month. There was the ropes involved. So now, again, here's your chance to prove yourself, man. All those pretty boy good looks is not going to impress Big Mike. He's up against a bigger man than he's been facing previously, is the wise man. So speaking of the man he's up against, as probably some cheers, probably the ladies want him and the men want to be him. Ted Axel. And here comes your former heavyweight champion. Another move note, name note, if you will. I'm going to call it the Torture Valley Driver. If you recall, I was fumbling for a name for that combination move he does where he hefts his man up into the torture rack, the Lex Luger style torture rack, and then pounds him down into a kind of a reverse Death Valley Driver. Lands the man on his head. Torture Valley Driver. Will we see it? Hopefully, for Ted Axel's sake, we don't. But here we go. Spinning back fist to start it off by Big Mike. Didn't land. And he finds himself landing into the turnbuckle. But we have a delayed vertical suplex that Big Mike responds with. Ted Axel's not a short man, as you can see. And he wins the test of strength. Huh. Okay. Perhaps he used a bit of leverage there. Perhaps technique was more telling than sheer weight, which Big Mike certainly seems to bring to the table. Okay, so he gets the get back there on the rematch test of strength. Into the ropes, drop kick, and just basically rebounds off of the massive torso of Big Mike. If you remember from Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport, at some point, Jean-Claude kicks his arch rival in the very ample chest, the big pectoral muscles, and his opponent just basically just says, "You're not going to hurt me there?" That's similar to what we saw. Oh, okay. Ooh, well, the action's pretty cool. That was a sit-down powerbomb. Now, I was going to say this. Ted Axel's in against a bigger man and a former champion, but this style is more Ted Axel's style. His first two matches were against, like I say, those guys that fight those mixed styles, which maybe Ted's never fought, and maybe the style befuddled him, and maybe it's not right to mix those matches together. Guys that fight the MMA, UFC style against the standard guys, because they're different. So maybe we can see a much better showing from Ted Axel here, because he's at least fighting someone who does it his kind of way. Meanwhile, that's new. Not just a release German suplex by Big Mike, but just flips the guy midair, like he did like a full 360 midair. Boy, oh boy. Meanwhile, Ted Axel has regained some momentum here. European uppercut, which matches up well with his England stretch, as we saw it applied briefly in the Black Dragon God match from February. That there's a European feel to it. And who knows, maybe we can say that Ted Axel is descended from European royalty, kings, dukes, or whatever.
5 minutes
And
gone.
maybe he comes from money. Maybe that's where maybe he's used to getting a lot of money. And now is no different. What we just saw recently is one of the best moves when DDT, usually a pretty devastating move, off the top rope, tries to flying punch the man, but Big Mike has still got some in him. And then a rolling senton, that might be called. Back splashes his man. Meanwhile, oh, this is what I referred to earlier, the Phoenix Plex. I probably mentioned that in February. Not really a variation on the perfect plex, but I mean, it's still a move that you basically suplex the guy behind you into a pinning maneuver, so pretty great move. There's that flying side head kick. Surprisingly agile. And then that suplex slam. Quite enjoy that. Two and maybe a fraction. But the wise man is still very much in this. And, you know, how about the strength of Ted Axel? He may not be a super heavyweight, but he's a built man. He's in great shape. And he can move this Big Mike around. Might we finally see some respect needing to be levied onto wise man Ted Axel? Rakes his eyes across the ropes and into a crossface chicken wing, I believe that's called. Anyway, the move I tried to mention earlier, and if you need closure on that, there was a dragon screw leg whip earlier. Oh, meanwhile, chicken wing, crossface, suplex. Wow, that's awesome. Drop the man on his head. Well, wear the man down with those cross faces. Crossface chicken wings. Seen that a few times now. 8.5 minutes. And especially considering Big Mike used to be champion, you could certainly make the case this match could have #1 contender implications. So you saw Superman Punch. Ted Axel executed that can wait. As we get into the Gorilla Press Power Slam, devastating. Not only an awesome display of strength, but using his weight to crush the man down 2.9. And we are very much moving toward a possible finish when someone's, well, superplex. If you remember earlier, Big Titan tried to execute that on Big Mike. And it was countered, but there we saw it. If you remember, Cowboy Bob Orton, he did a superplex, the vertical suplex off the top rope. Awesome. Anyway, again, earlier on I was going to make a Ric Flair reference to one of Ted Axel's moves where he did some sort of knee drop where he picked the man up and dropped his shin or whatever across his knee as a wear down for the eventual figure 4 leg lock. It's worth mentioning the Ric Flair reference because, you know, not a clone by any means, but oh, okay. Cartwheel into a type of reverse splash. Wow. That was probably an ooh and ah moment for the crowd. Can't hear them because I'm talking over them. Body slam. Again misses with that top rope punching maneuver. Ted should probably scrap that. But anyway, Ric Flair. I was going to say, although Ted Axel's hardly a clone of Ric Flair, he does have that blonde, pretty boy sort of appearance.
Yeah.
And in tremendous shape, the way Ric Flair was. Again, with that German over-the-top rotating suplex into the Torture Valley Driver. Hooks his man. No shame in staying down for this, but no. Why not? Ted Axel. He's got a lot to prove, and he figures this is my time to prove it against this guy, former champion. But he must eat another one of those devastating-looking Torture Valley Drivers. I wouldn't want... Just, please no. Anyway. Okay, we saw this from Big Titan. It was we called his the Titan Death Drop. I guess that's the Wise Man Death Drop. Goes over the top there with that vertical suplex. Agility on display. Ted escaped the first time, but not the second time. Vertical suplex. Drop toe hold. So we've seen some near falls from Big Mike, but the wise man's still got something in him. If he can somehow pull this out, you can start talking about him as being worth 50 grand. There's the dragon screw leg whip. If you remember the arm drag takedown from old-timey days, it's similar to that, only you do it with the guy's leg. And here it is again. I mean, this would be a good move to do early going in a match. Just wear down your man's vertical base, as I've heard it called. Damage the foundation of your opponent and just see how well he walks around then.
Move. Move.
Now we're just outright trading shots until one of them eats a big forearm but then responds with a big clothesline. Over 15 minutes, so by far the best showing for the $50,000 man. But did we just see the last of it with another one of those wicked looking vertical suplexes into a variation of the body slam? And yes, he's tired. It took a lot out of him. But he is your winner. He was favored, perhaps, being former heavyweight champion. And definitely the best showing we've seen him, Ted Axel. He put on a great show, finally. I mean, his first two matches, I think, maybe totaled 15.5 minutes, and they didn't look great the first match, looked okay in the second match. So, good enough. Original Falcon Arrow was the name of that vertical suplex into a slam. All right, why not? Call it that. So, we are on to the main event. Main event of April. So, as we get ready for this mixed martial arts UFC style fight. And why not call it a fight? Because it's the ultimate fighting championship when you do those events. So this is going to be as much a fight as a wrestling match. So I've hinted at it, but my fandom for UFC goes back to the beginning. I watched the original show, got it on pay-per-view when it was back in those days of Styles Clash. As we look at Black Dragon God first into the ring. So yeah, when Horace Gracie won the original UFC, I believe he repeated in the second one. But yeah, and then I watched for many years after that. A lot of good memories. Randy the Natural Couture, Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell was dominant. Some great fighters. Speaking of great fighters, this man proved it in February with his thorough dismantling of wise man Ted Axel. He's up against an opponent cut from a similar cloth. Here we go. Low kick. Doesn't come close to landing. Medium kick. I'd like to see more of this. I'd like to see more of the striking. I've seen a lot of takedowns from these guys. Wouldn't mind seeing some punches and kicks landed. Some of those karate or thereabout styles. Trip takedown. So, Black Dragon God falls voluntarily into the guard position. Even though he landed on his back, he trapped his man in a grapple. Under a minute, so presumably we'll see no submission. So here it is again. So armbar from the lower position. So Ken says, let's change the complexion of this. Lands the shoot. Gets into an ankle lock. Into the ropes. Early. So Black Dragon God is thinking this is the move. This is the strategy for wearing his man down. Oh, kick landed. Okay, good. Let's see more of that. More kicks landed, please. Judo style throw. Miss on the shot. And counter shot. Back to the ankle lock. So maybe this kind of style would be appreciated. Seems to be in traditional Japan they might have appreciated this. Clearly there's a game plan each man's trying to execute. Specific moves meant to wear the opponent down. Maybe a specific body part. Back to it again. Falling into that guard with the armbar. And then we see a turnabout. Turnabout's fair play. Ken goes for the same arm bar from the lower position. Kick to the side of the head from the back. Look pretty devastating. Knee into some sort of triangle choke. It's a variation on the rear naked choke, but it's arm in. You can absolutely cut a man's circulation off doing that. Not that I've experienced it, and don't plan to, but I have some sense of the science. Shot missed, kick as well. Both men go for the shot. That's cool. Lucky they didn't crack heads and knock each other cold. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Hilarious, and we've already seen one anticlimactic match from Ken. But I think we're almost certainly going to air this. Even if it's not the most exciting thing, because we already did a non-showing of Ken. I don't want to anger my viewers by saying, when are we ever going to see this freaking Ken guy? Especially if he wins. We definitely want to see him win if he wins. Because Ken is now looking for his own form of redemption. He won his February match in the main event, won the main event, and it didn't get aired. He's probably thinking, well, what in the heck do I have to do to be worthy for being shown, televised, whatever. Okay. Grinding submission with the elbow raking against the side of the head, the temple. I don't know if that's the temple. Is the forehead the temple? Anyway, that grinding to the side of the head there. If you press your finger in there with some force, you'll find it hurts. So imagine, like just on the beside the eye there. Imagine if someone was deliberately grinding an elbow in there with all their weight and just trying to hurt you. That would not be fun. Arm in, rear naked again. If you notice, he's also got him clasped with the leg scissors around the waist. It's a good way to keep your man from either wriggling free or possibly flipping over, in which he might gain an advantage. So, okay, Muay Thai clinch, knees to the face. It's part of what makes it mixed martial arts, people. A lot of different styles on display, everything from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to maybe some Judo style throws, Muay Thai kickboxing. And now we have a mount on the back with the choke applied. And as I mentioned in the previous match, we'll probably see some chokeholds being absolutely considered legal, and you could get a finish that way. Whereas in traditional wrestling, not so much. Choke is immediately grounds for the warning. But part of the science of MMA, mixed martial arts, is, barring something really reprehensible like a low blow, some other things are illegal, like gouging, raking, things that are still traditionally would be considered, hey, knock it off type of stuff. That stuff is still illegal, as far as I know. But there's a skill in out-grappling your man and exerting your will over him to the extent that you can lock him in a chokehold. Because, you know, you'd think that your opponent would be quite willing to, you know, quite capable of preventing a chokehold under most circumstances. That should be something you'd want to keep your eye out to keep from happening to you. So if you can execute a chokehold and get the submission, that's, you know, that's an achievement. It's to be respected. So anyway, got ourselves a decent match. We're getting to 11 minutes, so at least it's not awkwardly brief. Reversal into the ankle lock. No finish just yet. Blocks the punch. Flips his man over into an armbar. Give up? No. Okay, there's some serious beatdown. Now, I'd like to see more of this striking mixed in, and, well, a couple of low blows just for good measure, and then slap the man into a, not quite a chicken wing. I think it might be, is it Americana? That arm twist behind the back? Leave it in the comments if you know. We're back to that which we saw Black Dragon God, executing earlier, that arm bar from the bottom, and again, turnabout is fair play. Approaching 13 minutes. Okay. Vertical suplex into a slam. 3 count, okay. That's interesting. So that's a variation on the move we just saw Big Mike win with. Although he didn't complete the back suplex aspect of it. He dropped the man down in front of him. Okay, fair enough. I'm a little taken by surprise because just the style these dudes fight. Submission finish is almost guaranteed. I'm surprised to see. So okay, so there you go. It says Falcon Arrow in the middle there for the finisher, so that's what I mean. The Big Mike move was a variation on the Falcon Arrow. So, all right, fine. Why not? That's a cool way to finish things, I think. And 85% on the match evaluation, which when we refer to our average, I'm thinking we will like it. Average card rating 87. Great. Highlight match being the middle match, in which Big Mike, that might have been our longest match too, actually. So longest and best match. Just trying to give Ted Axel all the credit I can here, and it was 95%. Okay, I'm satisfied. Wasn't sure what to expect out of that main event because that style might not be for everyone, but if you appreciate technical elements and takedown, submission, that type of wrestling, then you were probably pretty satisfied with that. Okay, perhaps this is the true highlight, though, in terms of the implications, in that the Terrible Team, Terrible Ted, Jason the Terrible, are again your Canada Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Success. And that will probably also be reflected in our revenue once we see news from around the promotions. Hero of BME. I think Hero might be Dark Matter. If I know who that is, it's a super heavyweight. I like him. He's cool. Doesn't suit this promotion, but yeah, maybe someday. Okay, so we got our assets back up to 170,000. All right, so we're climbing. We're getting back toward our initial after that early spending that I'm still not sure was such a good idea. But top left, I'm probably blocking it. But income is over 56,000. So with each new event, we're increasing our gross. So the road to riches. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but not bad. We did start small after all. So now we're previewing May. Okay, so we had some success scouting there. Masa in Japan. I'm not sure who that is. We might take a look at him. I don't know if he needs to be added to our list of guys to get, but if nothing else, we have found someone in Japan, and so we're starting to narrow it down as we search for the couple guys we actually do wish to find from Japan. So we'll take it, find somebody. And now we're getting notifications that our other scouts have returned empty-handed from their attempts. So we'll refresh the scouting, or we won't. That's something I gotta decide. Because, as I say, it might be worth putting off scouting until we can improve our scouting chances. Anyway, okay, so here's an interesting event. This is basically a feud event. Feuding. So the game will do this. They'll pick usually just a random two people. A lot of time two people that maybe wouldn't make any kind of match that makes sense, but they picks two random characters and either in story or maybe out of story, they've got some beef. Either they had an argument in the back room and we filmed it, and maybe it's real, maybe it's fake. Who knows? But certainly for story purposes, apparently, Deathblow Ken has got an issue with Big. Okay, it says Big. We got more than one Big. We have Big Titan, we have Big Mike. Okay, but no. Big Mike is only a nickname, so that wouldn't appear in his actual official name, as it gets listed in the match event slots. So that is almost certainly Big Titan. So Ken is aiming high. Oh, wait a minute. Big Titan is the champ of the world. Not the world, sorry. Old habit. So used to champions being declared world champions. We gotta remember this is Canada, and Canada's awesome. It's a big country, takes up a lot of space, but this is not a world championship. This is a Canada championship. Big Titan is currently the Canadian heavyweight champion. And Ken, I think Ken is saying, okay, I want my damn respect now. I destroyed the $50,000 man so badly you were afraid to show it because I'm that damn good. And then I won your battle of the MMA guys. Got the pinfall there, 1, 2, 3. And now I want the damn champ. That's what we're getting out of Ken. So I will make a note of that because that's kind of a big deal. Got some decisions to make in terms of do I want that? I don't know. But I will take a note of it. So just to make sure it's Ken and Big feud. We will get into the office at some point and make some decisions as to what the matchup should be. Not carving anything in stone at this point, but that's absolutely something to consider because apparently what that does is if you let heated rivals like that actually go because they want to, and I guess the crowd wants to see it because we've now it's been exposed. This is a thing. These guys hate each other, and you just saw look at how pissed off they are at each other. The fans presumably want to see that match too, and that should be reflected in the audience forecast. That should increase fan turnout because it's a big match. So, because there's hatred. This isn't just two men plying their trade, two men trying to become excellent. There's bad blood, there's dislike. And nothing like a little bit of dislike to make a contest more interesting, more spicy. So Ken and Big. Will their need to get at each other be satisfied or not? That's something to wait for episode 5 for. Ken and Big won't be able to work out their differences with words. Boss, let them solve it in the ring. Just wait. Give me a chance to think about it. But here's what the cliffhanger was supposed to be as we preview May. And we'll get into that. This guy, the Baron Charles, arriving soon at an event near you. See you in episode 5.